Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining me on this live stream. Undoubtedly, you've heard about the potential for severe weather tomorrow. Now, this is not a current radar, so don't get no panic or anything like that. This is one of the models that we're showing. One of the models that's showing 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Just one model doesn't mean it's going to happen just like this. We're going to go through all those scenarios, what we possibly could see tomorrow. But the bottom line is this: it is a severe weather awareness day for you, not a weather anxious day per se, but awareness day. We'll get to the anxious part later if there is going to be an anxious part. Now, I want to start off by saying that last Friday, we were thinking that we were going to get some severe thunderstorms in North Texas, and thankfully, we did not. However, sometimes that causes a little consternation among people that, hey, everybody predicted these severe thunderstorms, and nothing happened. What was up with that? That happens sometimes in North Texas. That happens, well, quite frankly, that happens a lot in North Texas. Severe weather is very hard to predict. We have a general idea about when it might happen, and tomorrow's a good example of that. But as far as exactly when and where, that's a little tougher. And throw into the fact that we had a capping inversion over North Texas that was expected to weaken on this past Friday and just never did. And we're going to have the same situation tomorrow. We're going to have a capping inversion in place over North Texas. Now, will it do the same thing and not break and we not really see much of anything? Or will it break this time? So that's the key question that we always have to answer. It seems like the chances are better than they were Friday of the cap breaking. Doesn't mean it's going to, but the chances seem to be better. We have a little bit more of a dynamic system, a little bit more cold air aloft that may help break that cap, and a little bit more instability. So it's just a little bit more of a volatile setup than we had Friday. Doesn't mean it's gonna be all that and bad and everything. It could be like last Friday, or it could be we could see many more severe thunderstorms than we did this past Friday. So with all that being said, I will walk you through everything. So this is one model, and a lot of the short range models like the ACRRR and the Rapid Refresh aren't quite to the afternoon hours yet. I'll show you that in a second. So, but this is 3 o'clock. This is a model one. This is, I believe, this is the NAM Nest model. So, if I put this in motion a little bit, you'll see as we get into the afternoon and evening hours, we're talking about 2 rounds of severe weather possibilities tomorrow. So the overall setup is we have this warm, humid air mass in place. You can tell tonight because the dew point at my house is about 68, and that's pretty humid for this time of night. And so it is something that we didn't quite have that level of humidity last time on Friday. So that's another concerning thing that we didn't see this past Friday. So that's one. Like I said, we have a little bit more instability in the air, a little bit more cold air aloft. And so that is something that is just a little bit different for tomorrow. Doesn't mean it's going to be all crazy, but just something to keep in mind. So this storm system is going to approach from the west. Now, this, again, same model. This is the NAM Nest model. And this is the squall line that they're predicting later on into the evening. This is midnight on tomorrow. Tomorrow, no, not this midnight, but Tuesday into Wednesday morning. And so there's really 2 rounds that we're looking at. There's 2 main windows that I want us to focus on tomorrow. So the first window, which might be the most impactful, would be anytime after noon tomorrow, but probably more like after 3 o'clock. And so let's look at our slides here. So this is the time frame we're talking about for tomorrow. So you see nothing much is going to happen. Cross your fingers before noon tomorrow. And so between noon and 6 p.m., that's when things are really going to start to ramp up. As you can see from the graphic from the National Weather Service, a lot of these, or at least some of these storms would be north and northwest of Dallas Fort Worth. Now, as you look into the 6 p.m., 1 a.m. time frame, and you see that red dash circle, that's the greatest threat for wind and hail. That's later on. And then as we get into the overnight hours on Wednesday morning, you kind of see most of the thunderstorms kind of moving off to the east. That's kind of the timeline. Now, what's our hazard index, if you will? So we do have a pretty high chance if thunderstorms form like we think. we do have pretty high chance of high winds, damaging winds. Remember, severe winds are 57, 58 miles an hour or greater. You round it up to 60. Severe hail is 1 inch in diameter or greater, of course. Tornadoes obviously fit that category. And while it's not a technical severe weather criteria, flooding can be possible if you get really heavy rain in a short amount of time. And we've had a couple, our last system we had this past weekend, in most places around North Texas got at least an inch. Some places got way more than that. So it wouldn't take a whole lot for we to have some flooding issues, especially if you live in flood prone areas along the creek, the banks of creeks and things like that. So that's something that you definitely want to keep in mind with this system. We all tend to focus on the severe weather hazards, which we should, but flooding can be an issue, especially this time of year, because it's not all green yet, and that's just something that we just have to keep in mind as well. Now, so this first round, like I said, there's really two windows of opportunity for us to see severe weather. One is this first round, probably, even though it could start anytime after lunch, noon, 1 o'clock, probably more like 3 or 4 is when it might start in earnest. And like I said, we're looking at these chances of storms north of I-20 in this 3 to 5 time frame. Now, this is where we're going to see all modes of severe weather. We're going to see the tornado threat be the greatest. That means it's going to happen. We're going to look at some other graphics here in just a second. But that's when the greatest tornado threat will be with. Again, as I always say, when these storms first form, they have the ability to produce tornadoes initially because they're supercell storms, supercell thunderstorms. They're in isolation for the most part. They're separated from each other. They don't have to fight over instability, and so that can really ramp these storms up. Now, as you saw from that one model, when we get into the line of storms, it doesn't mean you can't have tornadoes spin us, but the threat of a supercell tornado is much less. So that's when I believe our tornado threat will be greatest in the afternoon hours to early evening hours before this line comes through, and really within the first window. But this is where you can see the really large hail, damaging winds. Again, severe hail is 1 inch, but you could see severe hail, which is 2 inches in diameter or greater within this time frame. So that's the one that we're going to have to really pay attention to. Of course, I'll be paying attention to it. And let me give some shout outs real quick. Hello, Miss Dutton. Yes, we love the cap. We're going to have a cap tomorrow. Not as strong as Friday, at least predicted to be. But yes, we love the cap. Hello, Andrew. Hope things are well up your way. This is the storm graphic for Wednesday, and most of it's going to move to the east. You're going to see a severe threat going to East Texas. And so not quite as acute for Dallas-Fort Worth when we get into Wednesday after sunrise, but depending on how this system goes, it's still going to be a possibility, that's for sure. All right, so this is from the Storm Prediction Center, and this morning you didn't see an enhanced risk, which is what the orange is. That's level 3 out of 5. And that's where you see these percentages really start to increase as far as the chances for severe weather. I think if it's not from the northwest, the thing we'll have to start looking out for, again, in the 2 to 3 p.m. time frame, storms that are southwest of us. That's why you see this enhanced risk. And when we wake up tomorrow morning, when they issue the 7 a.m., 8 a.m., update, then you're going to see it's going to be different to this. Maybe not a whole lot different, but it's definitely going to be a little different. Now, specifics. So as you know, if you've watched these forecasts, these updates before, I go into all the severe weather hazards, tornadoes, large hail, damaging winds. So this is the tornado outlook for tomorrow. And as you can tell, the 5% category, which is the brown, and again, that's 5% chance of seeing a tornado within 25 miles of a point. So I always like to say, if your point is your house, then that's the percentage, 5%. You have a 5% chance of seeing a tornado within 25 miles of your house, not at your house. 25. So that's just something to keep in mind. Sometimes it gets a little confusing. And so something that the Storm Prediction Center, I should say, in the green is 2% chance. And of course, anything that's not shaded is a 0% chance, although it's really never 0. So you see these hatched lines. So the Storm Prediction Center this year has added an intensity scale along with the percentage probability scale. So probability is the percentage. The intensity is just what it sounds like. Is okay. How strong? If we do get tornadoes, how strong would the tornadoes be? So you see this category intensity one, I guess you could say, and so that's EF2s or less. And I'm still learning this, so hopefully I'm quoting that right. The chances of seeing EF2 or less. Now there is a percentage you could see higher than that, and that's basically what that means is that this hatched area, you could see EF2 tornadoes or greater. So that's really what that means. So it gets a little messy on the map, but the main thing to focus on is the 5%, which is the brown, and then the hatched area. You do see this hatched area outside the brown and the green to 2%. And again, that just means that, hey, there could be EF2 tornadoes or greater, which is, 125, 130 mile an hour winds. I'm just guessing because I don't have it right in front of me. So it's definitely something we do not want to see tomorrow. Okay, hail, our biggest nemesis in North Texas for the most part. Now and you could tell where this enhanced, category came from because that's really matching where the greater probability of hail is going to be. So the red is 30% chance of seeing severe hail, which is 1 inch in diameter or greater. I'm sorry, 1 inch in diameter or greater. Again, within 25 miles of a point. The same criteria applies to all the severe weather hazards. So most of that is west of Fort Worth and down into the southwest, into the central Texas and hill country, down in the San Angelo area. But again, you see the hatch, and that's the intensity, and that means, hey, there's a decent chance that some of these hailstorms could produce 2-inch in diameter hail. That's not surprising based on the type of storms we may see, and pretty much all North Texas and beyond has a chance to see at least 2 inches in hail diameter. But it doesn't mean you're going to. It just means that the atmosphere is set up for that. And the wind is really similar to the hail. Again, you can tell where they got the enhanced risk from the red, 30% chance of seeing severe wind gusts, which again is, for rounding up, is 60 miles an hour or greater for severe wind gusts. Now, again, the hatched area, this is all new for the Storm Prediction Center. They have an intensity level 1, and that's where you can see winds over 80 miles an hour. If I'm quoting that wrong, I will definitely go back and look. But it's more intense, I'll put it that way. And all North Texas has that chance to see severe weather in the form of severe wind. And just for Wednesday, as the system starts to move out, you're going to see the thunderstorm chances really move into East Texas. And that's the overall severe weather outlook for Wednesday. And then the probabilities of severe weather, again, 5% in brown, 15% in yellow. Most of that's going to be east of Dallas-Fort Worth by then. And when all this is done, we're going to have a pretty nice stretch of weather Thursday through the whole weekend, even though this graphic only goes through Saturday. So, we can get past these storms tomorrow evening and Wednesday morning. And we're going to be set up pretty good for the next couple of days. May have to use that to dry out a little bit. But my big takeaway is this for you, like I said, is to make sure that you're weather aware tomorrow afternoon. And I harp on this all the time, especially if we have a line of storms that's going to move through after midnight. If you don't have a weather radio, please go get one. I tell people all the time, and the excuse I get sometimes is, well, I got a phone for that. Well, yes, you do. Now, do you have it on sleep? Do you have your alerts turned on? Because you have to go turn them on. If your phone's on sleep and you don't turn your alarm on, your weather alerts, I should say, on your phone, then that phone's not going to do you any good. As always, I'm watching the weather so you don't have to. Hope everyone has a great rest of your Monday. Be weather aware tomorrow. If things get dicey, you will probably see me in some form or fashion online talking about it, and more importantly, telling you what to do and how to be safe.